All right, sis. Go ahead and tell us how Nick Nick came to be.
Okay. Well, welcome to the fifth episode of Nick's Crossing. I have my sister, Darlene, here with me. Um, I've had people here with me the whole time, but she might be interjecting on some things because she just might need to. My memory's not as great. And like I said, this is kind of unscripted, so I'm kind of just going with, whatever, how it comes to me. But Dominic was birthed from a teenage mom. I was 14 years old, and I met his dad, I guess 1989. And when I tell you, he was fine. You know, he was really, really good looking. And I didn't know nothing about sex. I didn't know anything about that. But I got hooked up with him, and I was 14, and he said, I don't know, I think we lied about our ages at the time. I thought he was like 17 years old. So I probably said I was 15 or something like that. I don't know. But things happen. And here I am, pregnant and terrified. And I didn't tell my mom that I was pregnant until I was like 4 months pregnant. And so at that particular point, you really can't do anything. But during the time that I was, trying to hide my pregnancy, I was really, really tiny. I was really small frame. So I could hide, with big clothes and stuff like that. And I tried to like punch myself in the stomach, trying to fall down the stairs, trying to drink some stuff to take. I was terrified. I did not want to have a baby. And, but none of that stuff worked. And when my mom finally found out about me being pregnant, when I told her, she was so supportive and, said, whatever you want to do, you want to keep the baby. If you want to get the baby up for adoption, I'm here for you. And she's always been there for me. And so, but she was asking me about Dominic's dad. So when I finally told Dominic's dad that I was pregnant, his name is Mike. And when I finally told Mike that I was pregnant, his first question to me was, how do you know it's mine? Now, remember, I'm young. I mean, it has to be yours, but what can I do? What can I say? And his reaction to it wasn't really kind of welcoming. So I just kind of just took that as he's not interested in being bothered. And I didn't really know how to explain these things to my mom at the time. So I just kind of told my mom I didn't really know who it was. I kind of just had something with somebody and just whatever. And she didn't really pressure too much because she was just like, my daughter's about to have a baby. And so here I am. Now, Dominic was born in March of 1990. And we were going to Guam, because my mom was in the military. We were going to Guam in July. I think it was July of 1990. So I'm like, well, if he doesn't want to be a part of his life, we're leaving anyway. And we're just going to move on. And life was fine with that, moving on, because Nick was a baby. He didn't know any better. But when he turned 3 years old, he started asking me about his dad. And I'm like, I didn't really know what to say. Here we are across the world from, the DC area, and I didn't know what to tell him. But he asked me like repeatedly. He would just continue to ask me that. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out something. So I finally told my mom, like, I do know who Dominic's dad is. And not thinking that she would be able to help find him. But she is a detective.
And this was about when?
This was 1993.
93, okay, so 3 years.
Yeah, so my dad passed away in 93. And so me and Dominic went to California, which is where I'm originally from. Went to California to bury my father. And I guess during that time, my mom was working her magic from Guam to find Dominic's dad in DC. So when I come back, she's like, I found him. I'm like, you found who? And she was like, I think I found Dominic's dad. And I was just like, okay. And, you know, during those times, you can't just pick up the phone and call people. I mean, it costs money. So it wasn't like you could just, you know, try to find, I don't know what she did. Maybe she used, I don't know. But, you know, she figured it out. So she was supposed to be leaving the island to be stationed somewhere else in 94, November 94. And then I had decided to join the military in November as well. And she was going to take care of Dominic while I joined the military. So that happened. She left the island with Nick, and then I stayed on the island. Then I joined the military, and they went to Woodbridge, Virginia. Well, I guess she really did find him, and she got in contact with him, and Dominic was able to connect with his dad when he was 4 years old. And that connection kind of was ongoing. I'm not quite sure how often, but I do know that they met, took pictures and things like that. And Nick was able to meet, you know, his sister and his stepmom and all that stuff like that. But I really didn't know all the details behind it because I'm off military and, you know, that's happening. So there was a time when I came home before I went to go to Korea, and Mike came to Virginia, and I was able to meet him and see him again. And it was almost as if, I mean, it was just still the same. He was the same Mike, you know, very charismatic, you know, and Nick was so happy that he was there. And I was too. And at the time I was engaged or about to be engaged. I think I was engaged to be married or something like that. That was a whole, like I said, I had a whole whatever. But I was able to see Mike and see Dominic's interaction, and that was just great for me. And so I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be here for his son. And that's what I left going to Korea thinking that was going to happen. Well, I don't know all the details. Like I said, I wasn't really, you know, I'm still young, and I'm not trying to use it as an excuse, but that's just kind of what it was. Go to Korea, come back. And then at that particular point, I want Dominic to come and stay with me finally. And Mike still wasn't really too much in the picture in regards to with me, or maybe with my mom, communicating with her, but not necessarily with me. And so we went to not Fort Campbell. That was my first duty station. We went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and we lived there. And I was married, and Nick, you know, lived with us. And I don't recall really speaking to Mike or Mike reaching out or anything like that at all. And I didn't really think the wiser of it until I moved to Marietta, which was in 1999, I think it was. 99. Because I just got out of the military and I moved to Marietta, 98, 99. And that was the last time I had spoken to Mike. Mike called on Mother's Day. Called and wished me happy Mother's Day. And
1999?
I think so.
When you were in Marietta?
Yes. Because I remember specifically it being Mother's Day. And he talked to Dominic, but he talked to me. And that was the last conversation. And like I said, my memory is not the best. But I don't remember all the details. But there was like some type of a disconnect with, you know, the conversations or whatever. And I maybe wanted him to come see Dominic. I don't really know, to be honest with you. But that was the last conversation that I had with Mike, which was in 99. And I think with Dominic too. And so that happened, and, you know, I didn't think anything of it. You know, we're kind of living our lives, and until Dominic got a little bit older and I realized that he had a lot of anger. You know, whenever dads would come up or his dad would come up, and then I'm like, okay, well, why is Mike like not calling or not showing up or whatever? So I tried to reach out to him. The number that I had didn't work. Called the number that I had for his surrogate mom. That didn't work either. I tried the sister's number. That didn't work. I tried I Googled. Well, was Google around back then? I don't even know. But you know how you do people search and all that stuff. I'm looking for any way I can find this man. Nothing. One time I called and somebody answered the phone and said, and I gave him the full name, and he was like, well, he's not here. And I was like, well, any way that you can, tell him to call me. And when I said my name, he was like, the way he said it was kind of like, okay. And then I never got a phone call. And I tried to call that number again, nothing. So for me, it was like a dead end. And I just kind of was like, okay, I'm trying, but Dominic doesn't know that I'm trying to call. Is that trying to find him, and as time is going on, Dominic is just, living his life without his father. And I know he needed that. He wanted that. In the midst of his anger, it was a lot of hurt and disappointment. I didn't know what to do with that, how to really kind of, what can I do? All I can do is try to find him. And his name was so common, there was just nothing I can really do to make things better. So that was that. And, there was a time, because Dominic ended up moving to Virginia with by my mom as he got older. He went up there and he started working, and he took a job in the DC area, which is where I thought he was living. And I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, please let them run into each other. And it didn't happen, but I wanted that so badly, because I wanted Dominic to have that type of connection, or that closure, at least with him, to kind of find out why he stopped talking to him, or what happened. And, just kind of just didn't know. And, like a lot of us moms, and sometimes some dads too, we have the other parents that chooses something different than what we expect them to do with our kids. And I had to accept that, and I just wanted Dominic to accept that. When Nick passed, and if I forgot something, sis, let me know, because I know that there's things that I want to kind of be able to share. But when Dominic passed, I remember someone asking me, are you gonna go, notify his dad? And I remember the look on my face was like, what? Like, no. I've looked for him for years. I'm not looking for him anymore. And I didn't. However, while we were doing the obituary, you're trying to figure out how to piece your son's life together in a few pages, which is completely horrific. It's just, but what pictures to add and what wordings to say, and then the part where you have the all of the who's left behind. I did add Mike to the obituary, and I added a picture of Mike to the obituary with Dominic, because my belief is that, that's Dominic's history regardless. You can't rewrite it. You can't erase it. And the bottom line is, I know that Dominic loved his dad, and he would have wanted me to. And so I did that.
Yeah. To pray, forgive his dad.
I did. I asked before Dominic passed. I mean, we had a conversation. I want to say he was maybe 17. We were in the kitchen, and he was just crying. And Dominic was just like really even. He just didn't let things bother him. And he was so mad about something. And I was talking to him about his dad, and he was just crying. And I was like, I said, Nick, you have to forgive your dad. And he was just like, I can't. Like, I just can't. He was just so angry. And I said, you don't know what his life is like. And you can't allow that hold to be something that you hold on to. That anger, you have to let that go. And he promised me that he was going to pray about it, and he was going to, because he didn't want that either. But I could see the hurt in his eyes. It was more so, it really is more along, it's more hurt than anger than anything, because it's like you don't understand it. And in my life, I'm thinking there's nothing that I can do to help him understand that either. So, as when he's gone now, he's died, I'm not going looking for Mike. Like, my life has just been destroyed. He gonna have to, I don't know. It was just one of those things where it just wasn't gonna happen on my watch. So, Nick died. I did add him to the obituary and everything. And it was like maybe and I may get the dates wrong, but it may have been, Dominic passed away October 8th, 2015. It may have been in 2017 that I got a message on my messenger, Facebook Messenger, from some random person. I didn't know who this person was, but immediately I knew. I knew this had to be something with Mike. I just knew. And she texted me and she said, I think you know my brother. And I already knew. So as I'm talking to her, messaging her, I'm up here like, okay, how do I really feel? I'm checking myself on the inside. Like, how does this really feel? Like, what do I do? Dominic is gone. What's the point now, right? So I said, can you call me? And she calls me. She calls me and she says, she wanted to tell me that she had been looking for me, and she finally found what seemed like the right Tanisha. And I told her that I am the right Tanisha, and I told her about Dominic's passing. We talked on the phone for about an hour, and she cried and I cried. And I told her, to be honest with you, I really don't know if I want to talk to Mike. I don't know. I really couldn't make it make sense at the time to talk to him. And so she was like, well, whatever you decide, I just want you to know that he does want to talk to you, and, it's completely up to you. And I said, okay, well, I'll think about it. I'll pray about it. And she said, okay. So that was that. And it had been on my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so Aiden and I were going to an event for parents that had lost children. And we were riding down the road. I'm like, how do I bring this up to him? Do I bring it up to him? Do I just not even say anything? Like, what does Aiden, is it going to make Aiden feel? I don't know. I don't know anything. So I'm driving, and I just kind of just look over, and I was like, Aiden, I have something to tell you. He was just like, well, what? And I said, Dominic's aunt reached out to me, and Dominic's dad wants to talk to me. And the look on his face was like, what? And I'm up here like, I know, right? And he's just like, but he had a smirk on his face. And he was like, Mom, there's other pieces of Dominic still here. Well, I didn't think about it that way. And it was like immediate that I knew I had to talk to Mike. Immediately, I made a decision to forgive him. And when I say forgive him for not being there, for not being present, for hurting my son, for hurting me by not being there for my son. I mean, just like that. What's the point of being angry now? What's the point of not forgiving him now? Dominic is already gone. So there's a reason why he's reaching out right now. I have no idea what, but when Aiden said there's other pieces of Nick still here, there's pieces of Dominic still here, and I'm like, Dominic has siblings. See, Dominic had a sister, Taylor. I had heard through the grapevine that he had twin siblings as well, but I never told Dominic about his twin siblings. I couldn't do it because I felt like he already has one sister he doesn't get the chance to really get to know. And then there's twins out there. That's just devastating. I knew how Dominic was about, I just couldn't do it. So unless he found some other kind of way, I never told him about the twins, but I knew. And so when I told her, all right, I'll talk to Mike. And Mike called me. That conversation, because he sounds like my son, there was no way that I could be angry with him. He sounded like my kid. So when Aiden said, you mean there's pieces of Dominic still here? Oh, I got that immediately. Immediately. The laugh that Mike has, the high-pitched voice that he has when he does something, I don't even know, but it's just like, And here I am, I'm searching now for any piece of Nick that I can find. I'm going to have Mike on the next episode with me so we can talk about his life a little bit, but also his grief process and how he found out and how this has affected him and how our lives have been kind of joined together again. I'm grateful for it. I'm thankful for Mike. I'm thankful for Taylor and his siblings, Kennedy and Michael, and his stepmom, Cheryl. They have become a part of my family. And I know that sounds crazy and strange and weird. But when Aiden said pieces of Dominic are still here, he ain't never lied about that. I hear it in their voices, their memories, their hopes. Because Dominic did actually meet his sister. We have a picture of them kissing, you know. So it's just like, it's an extended family that I'm grateful for. But I'm looking forward to having Mike on here so he can share his part, and maybe give some insight into, you know, sometimes we wonder as women that's raising children where the fathers are. I don't know. He might be able to shed some light on that too. But there's nothing but love for Mike and for our family. I'm grateful for that. I know Nick would be happy. And yeah, so please listen out for the next one that's going to have my baby daddy, Mike, on here sharing about his love and loss regarding his son, Dominic. Thank you all for watching.